Sesaat lagi Anda akan menyaksikan The Big Idea Forum in association with
Imagine a world where machines and humans work hand in hand. An era where artificial intelligence, or AI, is not just a tool, but a collaborative partner. Welcome to the future of work. In the workplace of the future, the roles of humans and AI are evolving. AI analyzes data in seconds, identifies patterns, and provides timely recommendations. Automation through robotics is becoming increasingly prevalent. Yet, the role of humans remains irreplaceable. Creativity, empathy, and strategic decision-making are the most valuable assets. Workers become innovation navigators, designing strategies and new ideas that cannot be replicated by algorithmic codes. On the other hand, AI opens up new opportunities, such as AI trainer, ethics consultant, and virtual environment designer. The workforce is becoming more diverse, transcending borders and time zones. But significant challenges loom. The skills gap. Those unprepared for technological changes risk being left behind. Reskilling and upskilling have become critical. In the age of AI, the world of work is evolving. It's about embracing technology. Companies and governments are working together to create a sustainable ecosystem that supports all generations. The development of digital technology has indeed brought ease to various aspects of life. In recent years, digitalization has become one of the main pillars of economic development, driving efficiency, inclusivity, and innovation. Digital transformation is also key for MSMEs to level up. However, this transformation also faces challenges. The digital divide between urban and rural areas remains a problem, as does the low digital literacy in certain segments of society. This has led to new issues in society, such as the rise of online gambling and illegal online lending. These two problems not only cause financial harm, but also have a broad social impact. With just a mobile phone and an internet connection, people can easily access these platforms. However, this ease of access has become a dangerous trap. The government has blocked thousands of online gambling sites and illegal lending apps. However, these steps are not enough without public education. To address this, the government needs to collaborate with the private sector and educational institutions to enhance the digital skills of society. Digital transformation in Indonesia requires supporting regulations, cross-sector collaboration, and active public participation. These steps will not only accelerate economic growth, but also build a more inclusive and competitive society in the global era.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Idea Forum with our focus this time on the future of work and digitalization. The advancements of technology in the world has finally led us to the gateway of Industry 5.0, where cutting-edge technologies such as AI, the Internet of Things and robotics integrate with human expertise and innovation. Our future is no longer about automating tasks, but optimizing for human sustainability and well-being. So, how far have we transformed in this new era of digitalization, and have we utilized these opportunities effectively? So let's discuss this with the experts and regulators who have joined us here today. Let me introduce them all to you. First, we have Nezar Patria, Deputy Minister of Communication and Digital, who we hope will provide insight into the progress of digital transformation in our country up to date. Very big welcome to you, Mr. Vice Minister. Really big hands for. And we have Pandu Shahrir, Vice President Director of PT TBS Energi Utama, who we hope can tell us a little bit more about how digitalization is impacting business and also the professional skills needed by employees, and also the kind of investments we can make in digital technologies. Pandu, very big welcome to you. And we also have Simrin Singh, Director at ILO, International Labour Organization, Country Office for Indonesia and Timor-Leste. We hope will provide insight as well as input on the impact of digital technology in the global workforce, as well as collaboration amongst countries, including, of course, Indonesia. Simrin, very happy to have you. Dani Muhammad Buldansyah, Director and Chief Business Officer of Indosat Ooredoo Hutchinson, who we hope will provide us with insights into how technology and AI is adopted in the industry, particularly the telecommunications sector. Pak Dani, very big welcome. And last but not least, we're also pleased to welcome Denny Puspa Purbasari, Executive Director at PMO Prakerja, who will provide an overview, and this is very important, how the government is making sure that the country's workforce is equipped with the skills that are required in the digital era. So our human capital is ready to embrace what we call the golden Indonesia. And as this is, big welcome. And as this is a platform for collaboration, there will also be opportunities for all of you in the audience to provide comments, maybe share perspectives, and of course, ask questions to our distinguished panelists. So let's start our discussion, and let's open this session with the Deputy Minister of Communication and Digital as the regulator. Of course, we'd like the government to describe, what are the key focuses, particularly regarding digitalization in our country. As we know, we have a new government now, but I know Pak Nezar, Pak Wamen has been in the government for a while, overseeing our digital transformation. So give us an overview, what is being continued and what are the new priorities, as well as the many challenges of transforming the country into, a digital Internet of Things era.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Desi. Yes, I can say that now we are still working on the digital transformation, actually, and give pretty much attention to this process. Why we need to think about the digital transformation? As you know, that the technological disruptive now at the global scale creates a value added in the global economy about or up to 100 trillion US dollar in 2025, according to World Economic Forum survey. And Indonesia is one of the important country, I think, in the Southeast Asian. And we are projected that we can reach about 366 $billion for the digital economy in 2030, and in the region itself, it will be a great number of $1 trillion US. So we contribute about 40% to the region digital economy. The question is, are we ready with this opportunity? So what the ministry do to prepare all of the landscape of our digital transformation? So we try to prepare our digital infrastructure, which is, I can say that pretty good at the moment, with the number of internet penetration, 80% into the total population, and the connectivity that cover about 97% to the archipelagos area. That's about digital infrastructures. And then the second thing that we need to prepare is digital talent. This is the most important things, because without good digital talent, there is no economic growth, actually. So by propose some program and prepare some program and collaborate with stakeholders and ecosystems, we try to create about 12 million digital talents in the next 5 years.
12 million?
12 millions, yeah, 12 millions. That the numbers come from the industry as well, because they need about 12 million digital talent to support this digital economic growth. So we try to prepare this, and we work together with some of industry players, universities, and also the civil society to prepare ourselves to come into this digital industry society in the future. And in terms of regulations, we try to prepare a set of regulations that already taking place right now, and we try to enhance the data protection, with a new law, personal data protection law, and then of course we have internet and electronic and internet transaction law, and of course some penal code that try to give protection to individual that using these internet things. And by implementing this set of regulation, we believe that we can give some guidelines, to the society, to the industry, to go with a confidence, to enter this digital landscapes. I think I will start with that.
Yeah. So the impact of digital technology, and also having the digital transformation, obviously the economic impact is huge, and we should, take advantage of that. Especially the new government, we have an 8% growth.
Yes.
And I think digital transformation is crucial as a source for that growth. Now, talking about the talent itself, can I just ask you on what you think in terms of the 12 million digital talent that we want to have by the next 5 years? The type of, the productivity, the competence, and the competitiveness, that kind of level, how is that going to be addressed? Particularly, related to the kind of investment the government's making, as well as the regulations that can actually facilitate that.
Well, we try to adjust with the necessity of the industry as well. How far is technology adoption is already implemented by industry. So we prepare with the basic skill, of course, for our digital talents, and then the digital literacy to all of the society. And we have a specific program to improve the skill of our talent by giving them like a digital talent scholarship, and then digital leaders academy, which is become our priority program in the ministry. And then we work closely with some of our stakeholders, with some of global tech companies, local tech companies that have digital talent programs. Now, we can say like we work together with some global techs, and it can improve our digital talent skills. if you ask how diligent they are, how expert they are, I think some of our digital talent right now, local digital talent, already absorbed by these global tech companies, and some of our new generation, Gen Z, also involved in these some digital talent programs that provide by this global tech technology.
So there has to be a very close collaboration with the private sector as well.
Yes,
But just very quickly, in terms of the infrastructure itself, as we know that the literacy is also caused by the digital gap, the digital divide. You know, how is the, laying down the infrastructure for connectivity? Where are we now?
Well, I can say, according to the UNESCO readiness assessment methodology to Indonesia, they said that, the report says that Indonesia still have a problem with digital divide, like you mentioned, and how to cover this digital gap. So digital talent educations that the most important things that the government and all of the stakeholders in the industry should pay attention to this. And digital connectivity as well, because, yes, we have a good coverage to all of the regions, but the digital activity mainly focus on the urban areas right now. And I can say that Java Island is the most dominant place for the startups and
where the most populated.
Yes, yes. And we cannot, right now we cannot see the unicorn born outside of Java, so it's all in Java right now. So that's not good for the long term. Yeah, we need to to decentralize these digital talent.
This is where investments are needed.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think this is a good point to segue to you from the investment and business perspective. Pandu, I mean, how can investments, particularly in technology, create new job opportunities as well as enhance workforce competitiveness, and also, piggyback on the fruit of that digital economy that we want to create, that $366 billion for Indonesia by 2030.
Thank you for this. Actually, Pak Nezar is someone that we've collaborated with the past few years, and actually look up to him because he's thinking in terms of how it should be shaped, etc. Thank you, Pak. It's been very forward-looking. So now our job on the private sector really is to execute on this and making sure if there is any hurdle, we communicate well with the government. Now, if you think about what is the hot topic the last 18 months has been about artificial intelligence, relating to that and respect to AI, I would see it as a significant opportunity for the workforce. And when you talk about it, yesterday I was speaking at Apindo, it's all about productivity per worker, right? It's not necessarily, wage increase, etc. Usually people scream about wage increase if the productivity doesn't increase. Now, the big challenge, and in a very short term, so I don't want to talk about too long term, there's a couple of things. Number one is actually with respect to knowledge gap, literacy, very short term. And this is something that I think young people can catch up very quickly. Right? Actually, the one that's taking a long time is myself, my colleagues.
Well,
right?
You're still young,
So if you talk in our company, actually the young people are catching up very quickly in new technology.
Well, they're digital natives, basically.
And myself, I'm trying to catch up and trying to learn, right? So to be frank with you, when you talk about digital literacy, it goes to all levels. That's number one. Number two, there is also culturally, we're scared of change. And this is something that also can be fixed short term. In our company, what we say, if we don't change, somebody else will change us. That's actually scarier. Now, number three, I would say, and again, something that I think both of us and the government is trying to do, is investing in the digital infrastructure. I think Indosat is doing it, ourselves is doing it. Why is this? So that cost goes lower, cheaper to all the Indonesians, because you need that distribution cost to be low. AI will be so good, I think, with respect to education, which is Prakerja is doing, right? Knowledge, etc. And also in terms of healthcare, distribution of knowledge in healthcare, etc., it actually replaced the low value creation. And then it actually frees up all of us to go upstream, higher knowledge, and that increase your knowledge gap.
Yeah.
So I'm super
Upstream is-
excited what's happening today with respect to AI. I think it's a significant opportunity for us. The question for us is, how much can we get out of it? Productivity will for sure increase. It's just how
Well,
much.
you
will we
answer the
get out of it.
question. How much can we get?
Then the ball up to us. So I think if you talk big picture, which is very big picture, the next 5 years, and this is the big idea forum,
Yeah.
is how can we maximize the AI, especially on the downstream side, to our working advantage, right? Number one, focus on the building of the digital infra. This is all actually midstream to downstream. And then how can we use the application that is already being developed globally for our usage in the best cost scenario? Why? Because cost matters a lot in our country. So that distribution of cost matters a lot. The business here is actually infra and distribution.
Okay, can we focus more on the kind of infrastructure that we're talking about in order to basically, you know, get all these numbers that we want, which is very high numbers. I mean, we talk about $1 trillion, you know, $1 billion, but, you know, seeing is believing.
Yeah. I think
So-
this is...
But the actual digital, the technology itself, AI itself, it's a cost, and yet it is something that companies are interested in investing in as well.
Oh, yeah. I think all of us are investing significantly in our companies, in my investment company, and investing in my, what is it called, the energy businesses we're investing.
So that's also,
We're doing
important to the
it.
economy.
It's a very meaningful portion, and this is going to be one of the largest investment opportunity is in that.
Vice Minister was talking about data, and you know, personal data. Everything is all about data. Data is now more valuable than anything, more than oil, than gold. Data centers, you know, I see.
So
them,
you know what we
springing
say in
like
our company,
mushrooms.
we haven't really launched it, but we'll do it here because it's a media business. You know, they always say E equals MC squared. Today we call it E equals AI. Because the need for energy is tremendous. The need for access for clean water is tremendous. And Indonesia actually has the most in Southeast Asia. Where do you think all the data centers should be built? It's actually here. And this is the significant, I know Indosat is investing heavily, we're investing heavily. I think this is going to be a bigger opportunity than even BTS back in 2000 to 2003. It's a game changer for the country.
Are we attractive to the world?
We're investing.
Because
That's the most important. At least the local players are now investing. The global players are looking very carefully. I know with the ministry, etc., there's been quite a significant interest. But what matters, we're doing it.
what sort of regulations are needed in order for this infrastructure and also for the whole digital economy to actually, you know,
Very
take
short
off?
term, number one is actually making sure that our cost is the same as anywhere in ASEAN. Import costs, right? I mean, that's the simple part. Number two, data protection law. So to make sure that all the data in Indonesia is captured in Indonesia.
And this is what the government's providing, right? We have that, right? This is...
Soon, inshallah. And then, but number three is the upskilling of workers, which I think we'll discuss about. We have to make it simple in very short term to give access to high quality workers, to build data centers, etc., from abroad. To be honest, there is today a very big shortage of skilled workers globally, very big shortage. And number two, equipment. So we're fighting for those two. So if we can get the skilled workers, then you do a transfer of knowledge. So in the next 5 years, inshallah, you actually have got quite a bit of Indonesians being able to operate data center, not in Indonesia, but globally.
Okay. And I always say this is a platform exactly for this, for collaboration, multi-sector collaboration. We need to be able to, you know, between regulators, industry players, thought leaders, to actually be on the same page. This is the opportunity, you know, for. Otherwise, we're not going to go anywhere. That's basically, it's all about implementation.
Yes.
Just quickly, the 12 million talents that we're talking about, could you identify some of them, particularly in the business and professional worlds, that will be the
So outside of
key skills?
So
and
outside of the
employment?
e-commerce, the logistics, things that, you know, fintech, that's actually already well noted, there's a lot of significant changes happening in the energy infrastructure and energy transition phase. There's the fight today for resource is how to extract resources more efficiently in terms of finding resource and taking out resource. all of it today is based off technology. Whether you're trying to find oil, finding gas, finding coal, finding nickel, all of it today is using technology. So I think from energy businesses such as ourselves, we're investing heavily into that, trying out new technology for our resources. Second, because of the need for digital infra and the need for renewable energy, now we're also finding new technology, new information to be able to deliver energy the cheapest cost possible to data center, right? And this is the fight. That's what's happening the next 12 to 18 months.
Let's have to hear it from you from the international perspective, Simran, from ILO. So what does the world look like now? How are we changing, and the kind of labor force that is being sort of, groomed to be part of this digital era where AI, I think AI will, it's taking away my job already, I'm sure. There's a Daisy Anwar, hosting this when we did the whole discussion on AI. They don't need me as humans,
No, they need you.
they can just have my audio, visual, and my voice, and then they can, create anything.
No, I think, AI is not going to replace humans. Let's be clear on that. In fact, actually, the ILO looked very much, because all the headlines seem to be jobs lost to automation. Yeah. And actually, only 2.3%, our global research has shown, of jobs are lost to. So the actual change is more the transformation and the quality of jobs, and the quantity a little bit as well. And that's where we have to be ahead of the game. Well, go along with the game at minimum, because things are evolving very rapidly technologically, and there's really a danger of, if it's not well managed, and managed in the right way, with the right mix, like we're here kind of discussing, we can really perpetuate inequalities. Look, in Indonesia, and actually much of the world, many workers are in the informal sector. Here, 80% are in the informal sector. So they're already sort of left behind. They have precarious employment. They might be very low productivity. The competitiveness of what they're doing is also not very high. And then you have women. Women also tend to be, actually, again, globally, we find quite left behind when it comes to this leapfrogging that everyone's trying to do with AI. So if policymakers, practitioners, the industry are smart at this stage, they will actually target their investments on skilling, on access to finance, investment, to create the kind of jobs that are needed and that can be transformed. You already mentioned the energy sector. And I know here in Indonesia, the idea is really to amplify the renewables sector. And, if you look at a simple area of the labor force, quite a few workers here are working in palm oil, for example. And palm oil is supposed to expand further. And
we talk about downstreaming.
Exactly. So these downstreaming industries are really, really critical. But what can happen there is that some of the jobs that they've been doing, and where Indonesia unfortunately sometimes gets a bad name, health and safety risks, the lack of social protection services, so they're not listed, those things can easily be replaced and actually made safer if there were AI, and done faster if the training is also done. So it's not really about replacing the jobs in any sector. It's about actually equipping the existing workforce to be able to move with that change and not to be left behind. And then how can you bring more forward and in the labor force? I think that's really the critical part. And women are key.
Let's focus on the how bit, and this is where I think I turn to you. How, and how are you collaborating with the Indonesian government to make sure that we are doing the reskilling, retraining, and making sure that our workforce, they don't fall by the sidelines of.
Right. So I think first and foremost, the regulatory side is very important.
What sort of regulations?
Well, I will speak from the labor side, because that's a very important complement to what the Vice Minister just spoke about. I think from the labor side already, Indonesia's ahead of the game, even globally in some ways. They're devising a regulation on platform economy workers, especially in the transportation sector, which is huge, and we know has had a lot of issues as well. And that is to see that they have the right working conditions and all of those things. And this is being done in a tripartite conversation, meaning that they're actually dialoguing with the representatives of workers, they're dialoguing with Apindo and the representatives of employers, as well as experts in the field, in the government as well, to come up with this regulation and trying to learn from what's happening internationally on this front. I think this is really, really critical, and I hope that the ambition of this regulation expands further, so it's not just transportation workers, which are a huge segment, but for example, care sector workers as well. We know with Indonesia going forward with the aging society and the young, you have a double whammy to deal with in terms of the labor force. So I think the care sector is going to be a key area as well, where that human touch is definitely going to be needed. And to allow also women, for example, to stay and work so that they're not burdened with the care burden as well.
I mean, you mentioned about, palm oil, because that's always been, sort of one of the main drivers of our economic growth. Now we want to downstream, and again with the energy sector, and also now manufacturing, because traditionally we used to, export things like our textiles and shoes and so on and so forth. And now these, as you mentioned, they can be easily automated, because they're just repetitive tasks, particularly in the manufacturing sector. So what do those people, what should they do? And how do you retrain them, and can you retrain them, the labor force that has only been sort of maybe, in terms of education, achieves a certain level that only qualifies them to work on the factory floor, for example? Or
no, it's possible. It's definitely possible. We are actually working, for example, with the electronics sector, where they're focusing precisely on this aspect, and also giving them the kind of skill set needed to retrain, and also looking at apprenticeships, for example, as a means to increase and upskill and what is needed for the industry. I think the key is that the industry needs to be talking to the workers. This is not something just the government can do through the traditional academic route. This is a really real-time, hands-on type of engagement and commitment that's required between both entities, especially workers and employers, industry, to see what's needed, because the industry knows what skills are needed.
Absolutely.
And they shouldn't be in a situation where they have worker shortages, and they shouldn't be in a situation where Indonesian workers are running off overseas and we can't retain the talent here. They know what they need, and the workers are ready. They just need that investment, and it takes a bit of time. But I think if they work hand in hand and have the social dialogue, which is a very, very critical component of the solution side of things, I think a lot can be done. And then I think the other point here, Desi, is the fact that we're working on systems strengthening as well. So the TVET sector, there are these sector skills councils, so that's where there already is a government and a national vision and an industry vision of which sectors are going to. Electronics used to be one of them. I think it maintains. And these councils really are where the experts come together from all of these entities to see where the skills are needed, how it can be directed, what institutions or methods can be employed to do so. So I think that system side of things is also something that needs to, it's there, but it needs a bit more.
What has been the main challenge in retraining, reskilling these people?
Well, I mean, I think there's a few challenges. One has been infrastructure. Again, if you look at the labor market, I think maybe the big companies, big industries don't have so much of a challenge. It's really the rest of the labor market, the micro, small, medium enterprises that basically are the ones that capture most of the workforce in the country. For them, that access digitally is also very difficult. You have these regional disparities we've talked about that seems to continue to be an issue. And you also don't have the inbuilt skills within the workforce themselves to be able to absorb. So the software and hardware side of things are still.
But most of them are willing, like Pandu says, fear of change is one of the major sort of setbacks and obstacles when it comes to...
If it's explained and discussed and everyone's on the same page, I don't think people are as fearful of change. If it's imposed, and that is the danger, I must say, also with AI, is the algorithmic management side of things. You know, in hiring and firing practices, it's done by algorithms. Women get left behind again, algorithms. So I think we have to be very, very careful on that algorithmic management side of things.
Yes. We're talking about infrastructure. We're talking about accelerating digital transformation of obviously, you know, the telecommunication. Well, the technology now. We're no longer talking about telecommunication. We talk about Indosat. It's about technology.
Yes.
Tell us, what can you do to accelerate this whole thing?
No, there's a lot of things that we can do actually, and then of course this is the collaboration effort in our opinion. Indosat is being a 57 years old company, which always most of the time is actually dealing with the digitalization. You know, it's just upraising the bar every now and then. So that's one thing, you know. We, as Pak Nezar mentioned, that Indonesia has been coverage for digital is actually already 97%. Of course, we need to go to the next 3%, which is very challenging because the archipelago, very, very rural area, hill, mountains, and so on. But put that aside, in our opinion, basically, it is a collaboration effort, regulation, and then in our experience, it's been a very organic way that we are doing this, you know. I think we should do it an organic way, which means it has to be force designed that way that, you know, we are going to 2045 Indonesia must, you know. It has to be designed by now, you know, what is our going to be, you know, some country has developed the government platform, you know, the private platform. So we are not wasting, every company is doing the AI, every company is building infrastructure, every company doing this and that, you know, then the scale is not there. You know, we need to have a grand strategy to ensure that this end-to-end is actually being covered, and also that we are achieving our objective. That's,
tell us some of the things that you are doing with AI and also your partnership, not only with the government, but also with the NVIDIA and with the other, you know, players.
Yeah. No, okay. We understand that we ourselves cannot do the AI, cannot do the automation, cannot do this and that, you know. So we partner with the global player. They have the skill, they have a use case all over the world. And then we try to absorb what they have. NVIDIA come also in the country. We are being one of the NCP, which is the NVIDIA cloud provider in Indonesia, that we have been developed, already installed the NVIDIA GPU core. We develop all the data center infrastructure around that. I think I totally agree. It's not only BTS now. It's how the end-to-end, how the ecosystem is working. You know, we are working with Google. We are working with Cisco. Security is also one of the biggest problem that we need to face. So this is we design it in such way. So we are collaborating with the government, with the private, with the global player, with the tech local player as well, to create the whole ecosystem to ensure that the people can enjoy it at the end.
Yeah, tell us some of the challenges, because we talk about connectivity and digital divide and constraints, and also the kind of, you know, okay, so you've got all these, you know, fancy things and amazing collaborations, but how would that sort of impact on the real life?
We'll see. The Indonesia is not Jakarta. Indonesia is not Surabaya. Indonesia is not Medan only. You know, this is so diverse. You know, like AI implementation in plantation will be different, in the manufacturing will be different, in the smart city in Jakarta will be different, in the smart city in the rural. So the diverse of knowledge is actually being very, very massive. So we need a lot of talent in doing that. But again, you know, we are only 3,000 employees, you know, cannot do it. Cannot do it. It has to be designed. Make sure that we have covered all Indonesia to enjoy it. All the people in Indonesia is actually. So we are working with the university in all area. We are working in woman entrepreneur. We are working with the Kominfo, with the Komdigi for the improving the talent. We are building the AI excellence centers, is in progress now in certain area. We are putting all the curriculum for the digital in the university free of charge. So basically that's what we are doing now.
And the type of regulations or policies that are needed in order to, you know...
Now, for sure, that the type of regulation...
Are you happy? I mean, obviously it's not just under...
No, I think it's...
Komdigi,
there's a lot of...
It's the whole infrastructure of the government itself.
No, I think there's still a lot of room for improvement. Ourselves, Pak Pandu is actually, you know...
Well, share with us. I mean, this is the whole point that we're having this...
Cost is a matter. Now we are facing the regulatory cost is very expensive in order to deploy the infrastructure, to deploy this. And also scale is important. So if we are, you know, say that the ISP is very simple. We are competing with 1,500 ISP provider in Indonesia. How come we scale it up? But scale is the most important. But again, you know, it has to be designed. We don't want to kill everyone, you know. Then only the big guys is survive. But we need to regulate. So make sure that everyone has the place to do that.
Let's focus now on the talent. I mean, this is also why we need the infrastructure, is also to improve literacy, but also to, you know, create an environment where everybody has an opportunity to be part of this golden Indonesia. 12 million talents by 5 years. Prakerja, I know. And I think this is an example when actually a government program actually works. I mean, you know. There are many government programs, you know, some work better than others, but I think Prakerja, because they always get recognitions, but then you just got back from China, you got sort of the UNESCO, you know, certificate. Tell us about your effort in reskilling and, you know, teaching or training young Indonesians so that they're fit for, you know, the workforce that is needed now.
Yeah,
with all the different skill sets.
But Daisy, giving access of skilling, reskilling, upskilling for hundreds of thousands people are quite easy. But when we are talking millions of people, at least per year, that's different level of challenge. So Prakerja started in 2020. Part of the president campaign at that time, in order to accelerate the skill development in Indonesia. So we have vision of Golden Indonesia 2045 to be a developed country, high-income country, and that's according to the World Bank. Is the income per capita is $14,000 US. While back in 2023, for example. Our income per capita is only 4,500.
Oh, wow.
So economics 101, of course, will tell us how to calculate the cumulative average growth rate from 2024 to 2045. And that's equivalent to 8.1% GDP growth in rupiah. So study by the World Bank in 2021 showed that the GDP per capita from 2020 to 2017, around 3.9% per year, actually 88% of it contributed by labor productivity.
88%?
88%. So it's around 3.5 percentage point out of 3.9. Again, this is GDP per capita because per capita refers to like the average welfare of our citizens. So looking at the measure of productivity, one of them is of course wage. The average wage received by Indonesian employees currently is 3.2 million rupiah per month.
That's the average wage.
So with that amount of money, we understand that it will be very difficult for average workers in Indonesia to tap or to get skilling, reskilling, upskilling using their own money. In fact, study by the World Bank back in 2018 actually show only 44% of employers giving training to their workers.
Only 44%?
44.
Wow.
And they put the skill development of the workers as the priority number 7 out of 10. And for the workers, priority number 10 out of 10. So what is the result if the supply and demand like this? The outcome is underinvestment in skills. This is very dangerous because if there are shocks hit the economy, then there is, you know, certain risk.
Like we saw during COVID, for example.
Exactly. So that's why Mr. President wants to basically accelerate skill development in Indonesia and millions in skill per year. So, of course, we cannot do it using traditional ways in doing things, and that's why Program Management Office of Prakerja, consisting 160 professionals that I recruited from different companies, actually try to deliver this program, very ambitious. So, essentially, Prakerja is giving scholarship, only 3.5 million rupiah, only once in a lifetime, so it is not repetitive, it will not create dependencies of the workers, so they can choose whatever trainings that they need in our ecosystem. And the trainings or the courses actually has been assessed by industry, Kadin in this case, and also by experts, independent experts. So workers can select anything.
And they match the needs of the industries and the...
Yes, Ibu Desi, because when they apply for Prakerja, they just go to www.prakerja.go.id. So it's all machine, no intermediaries, no hanky-panky, no red tape bureaucracy. And then they input the demographic profiles. And then using machine learning, we recommend the trainings that match to their preference and their profiles. Because in Prakerja at this time, we have more than 1,000 type of courses, online and offline, 42 categories from, like, for example, you know, AI, Python, and all the digital skills, up to, like, for example, marketing, social media marketing, and so on. So, because we believe that the empowerment starts from giving a choice to the people. Make them responsible to their choice. And then after they completed the trainings, machine learning will basically push the job opportunities in 10 job portals, come to their dashboard, and then they just click, attach the certificate, and apply. So we bridge the asymmetric information that basically problematic in our market, and also we fix the skill gap that...
And this has been going on for 5 years.
Yes, Ibu Desi.
So how many people have actually benefited from this Prakerja?
18.9 million people.
18.9 million. And what's the success rate? That's a lot of, that's more than 12 million. What's the success rate?
The success rate.
People employable at the end of the...
Yes, we just ran the treasure study for 18.9 million people, and the result, and it has been participated by more than 500,000 of our alumni. And currently, the number of alumni of Prakerja that already in job market, I mean, active as the workers or, you know, small business entrepreneurs, 72%.
Okay, that's not bad.
And we also calculate the return on investment, the annualized ROI of this program is actually 14%.
14%, that's a lot more
Which
than
is
you put
higher
money
than the cost
in the
of fund, like,
in the
surat berharga
deposit.
negara is like 6.3%. So I think when we declare that Prakerja is human capital investment, this is a good investment.
And how much is that in terms of investment by the government? And for every year you have like how many millions that you give the courses to?
So again, the scholarship 3.5 million during after COVID period, but during period of COVID is only 1 million because offline training cannot be done. So it's all online and of course cheap.
But now it's back to 3 point.
But the participants actually not all use the scholarship. So whenever there is left money, so I withdraw back to the treasury. So the actual cost of training that basically used by our alumni is only 700,000 rupiah.
Okay, before I get to the rest, let me just ask you, one. After listening to all this, just your thoughts on things like the kind of policies or regulations needed in order to basically, talent, not just creating talent, but increasing literacy, as well as one of the biggest challenges at the moment, which is, cybersecurity, plus the online gambling, online lending, and so on and so forth. This is all your work, Pak Nezar. How are we going to do this? And share with us, what is it that you need from everybody here in order to help the government do their job better in creating a much, better Indonesia?
Yeah. After hearing multi perspective on the Indonesian workforce and how we are. How we face the digital landscape challenge, and I think now at the moment our program that such as a digital literacy is facing a most dangerous things, what we call as online gambling, that very fast spread into our society. And I think it's not only about the matter of the moral perspective on gambling itself, but it will be ruin our,
the fabric of our society.
Yes, the fabric of society and our, what we call as the ethos kerja, work,
the work
ethos,
ethic.
Yes.
Well,
that's very dangerous because young generation will be manipulated heavily with this online gambling, and they immerse totally in these fake worlds of the how to be rich in very fast way, instantly, that ruin all of the ethos, to work hard. So I think it should be solved immediately for this problem. So the government should take the decision, to save the young generation from these dangers. And of course, we support digital literacy program, and we work together and closely with all of our stakeholders, and we are ready to provide some regulations, not to halt all of the initiative, the creativity or innovations, but how to make things smooth and more productive. So don't worry with the regulation. We will very friendly with that, as we have been done so far.
You're optimistic that the 12 million talents that can be achieved in the next 5 years, and also that we have all the everything in place in terms of infrastructure.
Yes, I believe because what all of the global tech players that come to Indonesia, they have inherently this program to do the digital talent program. Why? Because they need to educate the market in Indonesia. It's not because, sorry to say, it's not like the charity program to educate freely to all of our generation, but the most important is how to educate market to to adopt this advanced technology.
And the other aspect you haven't answered on the data thing, you talk about data protection and keeping our data secure. What's going to be done? How are we going to address that? Because we're building, central, data, national data centers and what.
Yes, our national data centers will be run next year, and we have prepared some regulations to keep it work safely, with comply with cybersecurity regulations. So we work closely with the National Cyber Security Agency, and we try to evaluate and review all of the wrongdoings that have been done in the past with the with the cyber incidents happened a couple months ago, and we have a lesson learned, and I can say it is a very expensive. Yeah.
In terms of the infrastructure, I'm interested because we talk about digital. We have the fiber optics, and then we have our regular sort of satellite that we've had, and then we have now, the BTS, but also the LEO, the low Earth orbit. I mean, what sort of, what are we focusing on for the next couple of years?
Well,
basically, it's about leapfrogging, right?
Yes.
At a very affordable cost.
Yes. First of all, we will enhance the quality of the connectivity. That's most important. And second, we want to make what we call as a meaningful connectivity. Meaningful connectivity. On top of this connectivity, it should be have benefit for the people in the sector of social, economic, and culture as well. And to enhance the quality of connectivity, we try to provide connectivity to rural areas by using our Satria-1 satellite, and there will be about 27,000 ground segments will be built soon in the next year to connect these rural areas. So it will be enhance our connectivity to these underserved areas. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's open it up. Raise your hands if you have questions, comments, or whatever, please. And yes, we have at the back. If you could stand up, identify yourself, and who would you like to answer your question? Yes, there should be a mic coming to you.
Hi. Thank you for the presentation. It was amazing. So my question is, Indonesia is a middle power relations in Asia. So where we see that in US and China we have tension, right? So US have ASEAN as a part of consumerism. Same thing with China. We are part of their consumerism. So with the economic of scale in jobs market, I believe the needs of having FDI and foreign global partners is incentivizing us in upskilling and reskilling. However, in Indonesia, we have this something called domestic level, TKDN, 40%, which requires a lot of adjustment. So the way that Apple, they at first promised to have a research R&Ds to help us in our STEM programs. However, TKDN requires lump sum. So what they did is they offer another TKDN program, which is the 40 million wearables for Apple Academies. So the more Apple students will result to more apps being developed, will result to more Apple ecosystem. So I think TKDN does play a role. Same thing with Hyundai and BYD. Hyundai had a long partnership prior COVID, but that's where BYD tapped in, where it has another seamless experience in creating factories industry. So what will be the best program for the next year in 2025 till 2029? Should TKDN be prioritized like Hyundai, or should it be like BYD, where everyone could have this mass upskilling and reskilling at the same time? Thank you so much.
So you're asking Pak Nezar, or everybody can?
I wanted to ask Pak Nezar and Pak Pandu, but if everyone has...
and you identify yourself?
I'm Andreas Indra. I'm Director AI Innovation for Korika. So I'm also a consultant as well.
Okay, this TKDN, I've been hearing this. TKDN is a local content, which it does make sense. But, of course, there are hurdles and there are ways of doing it so that it doesn't, annoy everybody.
Yeah, of course, we support this national policy on the TKDN, 40% is less, I think. It should be more. It should be more, and hopefully we can. It should be more.
Okay.
It should be more.
Interesting.
And we can convert these physical local components by supplied like a program or application for the digital devices that developed by our local talents. It can count as TKDN, as a part of TKDN as well. So on behalf of the Komdigi, I think we support these policies, and it's not supposed to be a physical component. It's also like a
transfer of knowledge.
Transfer of knowledge. And so on. Yeah.
That's interesting. Pandu, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think this is one. It's an interesting dilemma what has happened with the iPhone story, because frankly speaking, the way I look at it is more, how come Vietnam was the one who was able to get the $3-4 billion investment and not us? So in a way, it's actually a good way to reflect back. What can be fixed? What can be improved? Instead of saying, Apple are just business people. They allocate their capital where they see fit. Maybe it's a reflection. Maybe they don't see us as being a good fit. So maybe that should be in a way to correct. How can we attract investment from Apple so that their next investment will be Indonesia and not doubling down in other ASEAN countries, right?
I thought they are putting some money.
Yeah, but it's, not as of the scale. What we need to do is how to think of scale, right? For any one of the companies you mentioned, BYD, Hyundai, right? All these, how can you make Indonesia as the hub of investment? And for that, I think our terms have to at least be pari passu to the rest of the ASEAN nations, or even globally. And in fact, today, because of what's happening between China and the US, this is the best opportunity for Indonesia to take that arbitrage. Why not use some of these Chinese talents to come in, do knowledge transfer, but also invest significantly so we can sell to the developed economies? Use Indonesia as a hub.
Yeah, okay. I'm interested to know your thoughts. How does that affect industries such as this TKDN business?
I would say that again, probably investment in hardware is no longer relevant anymore, because again, the semiconductor factory, it will be centralized in many hubs. I would say that yes, we should attract at least pick and choose what is the hub that will fit in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Then,
what do you think? I mean, because we're talking about a global supply chain, right?
Correct.
Everything, we are just one big global
Correct.
market.
Correct.
What should Indonesia be the hub for?
I think, look, devices is good actually. The reason why is actually Indonesian market is already 240 million, right? It has a lot of market already potential here. So being a hub in Indonesia in one of the devices is actually will be good.
Like what? I mean, because we don't produce
it's a gadget.
phones, we don't. Well, we're not producing. We are buying them. We're consuming them.
Exactly. That's what it's the opportunity for us to attract them to put it as Indonesia as a hub.
So we actually have to have the R&D, and we have to have the talent.
Exactly.
Simran, this idea of maximizing local content, does it actually help with? Or do you think it's a good idea that it actually accelerate the reskilling and so on that we needed? Or
It may, but sounds a bit more supply-driven as opposed to demand-driven. We just have to, again, look at the dynamics of the existing labor market, where it is, and already so many inequalities and lack of access, and it's a very complex picture locally. But at the same time, I mean, I do think, if we zero in on the kind of industries where you would actually have job creation potential, you would also have potential for greater investment. That's a win-win for everyone. And again, renewables is an area. And I think the nickel sector was one already that saw something like a 300% increase in investment, because you went from just exporting raw materials to value addition, and that created even more jobs in some of these
I mean, that's the whole point of this local content thing, is to create jobs, to drive our economy so that we can have that 8% growth and that we can be that golden Indonesia.
If I can just give a warning there, though, at the same time, because if you go really fast and you don't do it right, already existing challenges you had, for example, safety and health, or workers that were disempowered because they had debt and because they were gambling or whatever it might be, didn't have social protection services, the women were left behind. I mean, if you already have some of these systemic issues on the ground and you don't tackle them at the same time, it can really make life very complicated for the regulators, especially safety and health issues.
You have thoughts on this?
So when we are talking about downstreaming in all industries, all sectors in the economy, studies by the Prospera actually showed that the impact, the labor multiplier from downstreaming strategy will create about 18 million jobs. But interestingly, 9.7 million out of 18 million for the indirect workers. Workers who are not basically contributing directly to the production, but they give services like, for example, marketing and then selling and HR, administrative, finance, accounting, and so on. So again, the way we have to go deeper into Desi to understand things and then preparing the strategy and efforts on the ground that truly work for the people. And that's why we need to collaborate with all partners, including the industry, of course, because in Prakerja, the training providers, more than 500 of them, actually private sectors. Like, for example, United Tractors, Hino, and so on, actually also part of Prakerja. And as mentioned by Ibu Simrin, we have Jaminan Kehilangan Pekerjaan, the unemployment insurance released after the Omnibus Law. That's actually giving access of cash and also trainings, but for the unemployed workers who just get fired. But Prakerja, we do not need to wait until they are fired and then learn, but you can learn while you are in the job market, while you are actually working. That's why in Prakerja, we provide a flexible training pathways for all the workers, for example, in the weekend and also at nights. So they can select any modes that is suitable for them.
Yeah, so they can increase the quality.
Yes.
And I love your numbers, because it does put perspectives on things. But I also remember that Indonesia, we're talking about the workforce, it's actually 90% is all based on small, medium, micro, small, medium enterprises. So, 98%. 98%. So, yeah. I mean, the numbers are important. So we really have to think in terms of what are the drivers of the economy and how can digital transformation accelerate this. Let's have more questions. So let's have you at the back, as we have on this side. So we have the two. Let's get the two questions quickly first, and then you. So three at the same time. Identify yourself, and who would you like to answer?
Respected speakers, I'm Reza from Indonesian Young Entrepreneur Association, or HIPMI.
Okay, Reza.
We would like to address the situation here, especially to Mr. Vice Minister. We have homework before about cybersecurity, right? And then back on that days, you already have the regulation. We talk much about AI, cybersecurity, big data, data centers, and so on. People move faster, but the thing is, we want to make sure it will not happen again. We want to move far, because all the global players already here, Papandu, DBX, even one of the largest shareholder in Goto is BlackRock, Avantgarde, and everyone is here. But you have to make sure that the regulation here will you have the act of AI in the regulation?
Okay.
Because we need that in terms of ethically and business-wise. We already now starting invest in startups, 10 different AI segments with Kata, DBX, and Telkom Group, and everyone. People move faster. In terms of HIPMI's perspective, we want to grow the entrepreneurship level in Indonesia. You can imagine Goto have big data to simulate the AI, where to open the, for example, Martabak Place. It helped by big data. It's already there. We want to make sure that the previous incident will not happen through the regulation first itself.
Okay.
That's what we would like to address.
All right.
Thank you.
Move faster. Okay. Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to ask more on the industry player. Oh, sorry, I'm Lydia, the communication head of Prakerja.
Okay.
I would like to ask some questions to the industry player, so to Pak Buldansya and Mas Pandu, perhaps. In Prakerja, we try our best to prepare our workforce talent. But then the question will be, how can they really enter the workforce? And the challenge, as I have a conversation with all of our alumni, we call them alumni in Prakerja, I think one of the challenges is that our workforce is woke than ever, I would say, right? They want fair paid, and then they want to work from anywhere,
The
right?
Gen Z.
Yeah, not only the Gen Z, I think. All the
the
millennials
millennials
also
too,
get
okay.
influenced, and they think, oh, working from home is also good. Why I cannot do this for the rest of my working time? So my question will be, if the governments and all of the, what do you say, the course provider, trying our best to shape the quality of the talent, what is the industries doing? I want to know the tangible things that you can do to ensure that this quality talent can be absorbed in your industry.
Okay, thank you.
That's the first one.
I have a question.
Alexander from Council of Digital Transformation. So we serve Ministry of Industry. I think I've just tried to following up with the ILO director. This is we have a very interesting data actually. I just read it. Up to until 2025, there will be a GDP impact of 120 billions of what we call digital transformation, and we have a productivity gains almost 40 to 70%, like Pak Pandu said, in 2025. 23 million need additional jobs created until 2030, and also only 20% manufacturing apply of this making industry 4.0. 80% in pilot trap, and 6 to 30 million need to be reskilled and upskilled. So there is a mismatch on these things, because our innovation hub can only train 200,000 people, manpower. Okay. Yeah. So if you mention like in the Ministry of ComDigi, actually they need like 6 to 8 million of digital talent. So there is a mismatch on this. And I would like to ask maybe that you can we can discuss later on.
All right, let's start with you.
Yes, this is a timely question actually, and we will have a new regulation on AI. It's already on a pipeline of the ministry, and we will work next year by inviting all of the stakeholders to discuss this draft, and it will be more complete regulation that will be cover vertical and horizontal sectors. So don't worry, after we release the Minister of a circular letter of ministry circular letter on the ethical AI, and then we will move to the more solid regulation for the next year.
Okay, now let's. I think your question is very pertinent to everybody here, Pandu. I mean, how
Woke.
No. Well, you know.
So for
matching, you know, the skills and the desires, plus with the needs of the industry.
So for our business in Toba, we're moving from fossil fuel to non-fossil fuel. And a couple of weeks ago, we announced we're acquiring Waste, which is the largest waste management in Singapore, and we've become more regional as a business. So, you know, I was Toba 001, that was my employee number. And, you know, we've grown today to about 1,200 people. Now, when you talk about the generation that you're in, I think we're in a slightly different generation. It's so true that it's woke, you know, so there's a different culture in the way we look at things. So I'll be upfront, you know, for us, it's all about productivity for worker. The culture is also very important. I go to three places to recruit. Number one, headhunter. When you are GM and above, a lot of times I use headhunter, and sometimes I use LinkedIn, for example, to search. But if it's below that, I go to campuses. Every year we go to 3 to 4 campuses in Indonesia, now also Singapore, because now we have a big business in Singapore, or going to be. We also go to the top 10 universities in the US, and I go. Every March or April, we would go. And to recruit, because usually by June, July, they finish and they come. This has actually worked very effective. The last 4 years after COVID, we essentially made a purposeful effort to go there and recruit talent, right? Maybe we get 5 talent, 10 people, enough, right? In Indonesia now, we also have about 10 people from Indo, 10 people from abroad, and this what we called are the future leaders for our company. My view today, the biggest battle for any businesses is to get high value talent. I get what you're doing. I think it's amazing work, what we're doing. But at the end of the day, I got to figure out who is going to replace me. Because I have to figure out that the institution have to remain. I may go away. Most likely, I will go away. So the next 5 to 10 years, who will replace me? That's actually the way we put the mindset among all our directors. Our youngest director today in the company is 33 years old. Youngest director. He's been part trained and obviously went to the right schools, right training, etc. But that also set an example that age is no longer the issue. Right? We're willing to take risks on you. And he was the guy who bought the business in Singapore. You know, so you know, he's moving there. And we are paying top dollars for these young Indonesians.
Okay, so Pandu, just name 3 things that, you know, a professional should have.
Okay. In Indonesia, the word is bebet bobot. Okay? But the third one is what I would like to call bebet bobot, and the third one is you have to have grit. You know, there's...
So you say that would be the most important asset.
But you need to have bebet bobot and grit. What we can only give is opportunity. Then the rest up to you.
How do you recruit your
I think I pretty much similar to Pak Pandu, that what we are doing in recruitment. But I would say that, you know, that we split it into 2. One is actually the real talents that we are going to, who is going to replace us in the future. That's actually the talent that we are very, very careful in hiring. But at the same time, we have another probably 60–70% that just a doer. But not only doer, I would say that the doer plus. Of course, like you said, what is a tangible knowledge that we need to... I'm not too worried about the content, especially, you know, the youngest talent. It's actually, they are very fast in adaptation of the technology, the knowledge, you know. But willingness to develop themselves is actually very important. The persistence, we are a bit behind. If you know, a bit behind compared to, you know, the global market, you know. So, you know, we are saying that if I want to do this and then there's some hurdle in front of us, then I stop. That's basically, we are not persistent enough to go. So I think those things is actually we need to have, you know, if you are all from the Prakerja, I think to develop, you know,
the grit,
the knowledge on the people on that one.
Can you actually teach grit? Is there a course on having grit and being persistent?
Ibu Desi, in general, soft skills cannot be taught like, you know, virtually or even in a short period. It has to be nurtured. And that's why to build soft skill, it has to be started from the families, even when in early childhood development, for example. Talking about the talents, young talents, Pak Pandu mentioned that his youngest director, 33 years old. In Prakerja, the youngest director of technology, 32 years old, when I recruited him. And he actually previously worked in Boston Consulting Ventures in Singapore. And then the director of operation in Prakerja, when I recruited him, is 36 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's from Sinarmas. And so, again, the collaboration of all good minds, good talents, young Indonesians, in Prakerja actually shown opportunity. I'm optimistic that if we can collaborate, we can elevate Indonesia. And talking about skills required for, general, all workers, 4 things, Ibu. Number 1, self-management, like mentioned by Pak Dani, like persistence, and then ability to learn, how they can manage their stress. It's very important because the world keeps changing. The number 2, cognitive, analytical skills, creativity, and so on, number 2. Number 3, we work with others. Even though we are boss or entrepreneurs, we work with clients.
There is no I in team.
Yeah, that's why teamwork, communication.
Success cannot happen without you.
Yeah, right. And number 4, digital skills.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Simran.
I mean, couldn't agree more on all of these aspects. These soft skills are just crucial, and that's what's needed because the labor market is shifting, the opportunity is shifting, the supply and demand is all shifting. So to be agile and to constantly be able to learn, I'm happy to hear that there's a young entrepreneurs group here because it's really, these are entrepreneurial skills that need to be nurtured precisely. That way you can adapt to any kind of, whether you start your own business and then you employ others or whether you're actually employed by another entity.
Because there's the issue on the mismatch thing, why are we mismatching? I mean, mismatch is not a good thing, right?
Well, maybe the conversation, I mean, it's not like looking into a crystal ball. I wish one could look at the crystal ball and say, exactly, that's where the jobs will be and this and that. It's a very dynamic process, right? And that's where you have to get the right players on board to have that discussion and to really analyze where their potential would be. Yes, it could be a government policy on downstreaming and we're going to prioritize 7 areas or 10 areas. But it also, business dictates very much, as do international markets, as to where there might be. But then there's also the domestic demand and where jobs are and the servicing that needs to happen within your village, within your community, within your province. And that creates its own ecosystem and opportunities for jobs. So well, I think it really does require a bottom-up, top-down, sideways type of interaction with the right mix of people, including, very importantly, the workers themselves.
Unfortunately, most people now just want to be TikTok stars. I mean, no, this is also a real issue. Anyway, time is, I think we've come to the end of our session, but I would like to give you the closing, sort of, what are your thoughts and what should we get out of this conversation?
Yes, I think as a regulator and the government side, just want to ensure that all of the digital transformation process will give benefits to all the people, to the society, and the government's work in the strong principle, a strong belief with the principle of no one left behind. So the government, try to ensure that things happen.
All right, again, big hands please to our speakers. Thank you very much. Pak Nezar, Mbak Deni, Pandu, Simrin, and also Pak Dani. Again, thank you very much, and also thank you to you for your participation. And in closing, what we must emphasize here is that digital transformation must be an integral part of our journey toward Indonesia Emas 2045, a golden Indonesia. It should be a golden Indonesia now, like not 2045. And through the implementation of advanced technologies, companies can enhance their competitiveness in the global market. With the revolution of Industry 5.0, we must also focus on improving the quality of our human resources, our human capital, to build a progressive and sustainable nation. Thank you also, once again, and also for your active participation. We always say in the Big Idea Forum, collaboration is key to producing good policy. See you at another interesting discussion in the next Big Idea Forum. Thank you. Bye-bye.
saja menyaksikan The Big Idea Forum in association with